Well, good morning, guys. Today we are diving into one of the biggest buyer complaints in the industry. That is buyers getting totally stuffed around. You know the story. They make an offer, they show genuine interest, and then crickets. No callbacks, no updates, and no clarity. Today we're going to unpack why this happens, who's to blame, and how buyers and agents can maybe stop this circus. Stay tuned.
Welcome to a controversial Tuesday.
Good morning, Billy. How are ya?
Oh, good morning. I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. I reckon this is a red hot topic. We discussed a red hot topic last night on Monday Novak News, and that was the underquoting. And this morning we're going to be talking about buyers getting stuffed around, the silent agent syndrome.
Super relevant. 33% of buyers and sellers from a 2024 survey said that communication with their agent was a challenge.
Wowsy. So by that, what do we mean? We mean that there's agents out there that are not returning buyers' calls. And listen, this is not us calling out the industry. This is the buyers that come through endless open homes that we speak to all day, every day. I had one in the office last night, a vendor who was trying to buy a property. This is what the buyers, this is what you guys are telling us is happening out there. Their calls aren't getting returned. Their emails aren't getting responded to when they're sending through email inquiries. And it's not everyone. Like, obviously, guys, we know there's phenomenal agents out there. But I had a client last night, Billy, in the office, a vendor, and he had shown significant interest on a property and had asked the agent to keep him updated. That's a normal question from a buyer. And next minute, he saw it marked as sold on domainandrealestate.com. He's like, what the hell?
He would have just been scratching his head going, how did that get away from me? Even worse, you sometimes see the sold price, and we hear buyers say it to us at times saying, oh, we would have paid more. And so there's two sides to that story. Either you weren't ready at the time or you didn't have your ducks in a row. But yeah, sometimes it's a lack of communication, and it really does frustrate people.
So, what does communication look like? Can we just talk about that for a second? Because as real estate agents, we are on our phones all day, every day. I mean, my phone is literally, it's sitting in my hand. It's not in my bag. It's in my hand all day, every day, or it's on my desk, on my stand. So, I can see when a call has come through. I can see when I've missed a call. I can hear when I've missed a call. And the emails and the WhatsApps are all there right in front of me. So, we do get bombarded. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you can only imagine, even if you've got, a handful of properties on the market, there's an extensive amount of email inquiries that come through, lots of communication all day, every day. But how do we manage that, and what is the expectation of the buyer? I know that a lot of people in our office have a voicemail that says, thank you so much for calling. I will endeavour to call you back within the hour. And that is genuinely the truth. But
True.
I reckon there's agents out there that are just never calling back people.
Yeah, it seems funny, like, all the trainers in the industry, for those agents listening, say just answer the phone. That's where it starts and stops in terms of, looking after people. Just answer the phone, pick up the phone. I've got a couple of really good one-liners for you this morning, so I'm just going to drop them in as we go. But
let's go.
This is my first one. Silence breeds suspicion, and communication builds confidence. And I think this goes for both buyer and seller.
Yep. I love that. So, and that's the truth. Like, listen, there's been plenty of times when we've had buyers come through properties. I was actually watching a very funny TikTok this morning, where buyers walk in and we're at the open home and they're like, I love this. Send me a contract. send me over all the relevant documents. This is where we're going to put our lounge. This property is perfect. It's everything that we've been looking for. We're going to put an offer in. We're going to contact you later on this afternoon. And then we go to call them back, nothing. Crickets. We call them back again, crickets. We send an email and a text saying, guys, we've had other interest in the property. Please contact us urgently, crickets. And then the property sells and they're like, what? I can't believe it. I would have paid more for that property. What do you mean it sold for that price? Like, okay, well, we tried to contact you 5,000 times. We had you marked as a warm buyer, yet you never actually responded to any one of our phone calls or emails or text messages. So, that certainly happened plenty of times. But on the flip side, guys, if you're watching this and you're like, hang on, I've been the buyer. I've been on the other side of that equation. I have shown genuine interest in a property and then I never heard from the agent. I called them, like what happened to my vendors last night who were trying to buy a property. I called the agent, nothing, and then I saw the property had sold. Do you know, Billy, there's actually a really good solution for that, because I feel like some buyers would just be extremely distressed if that's the situation there. There's a good solution there. Do you know what that could be?
Yeah, you tell us. If in doubt.
Yeah, so if in doubt, guys, if you feel like your agent is ghosting you for whatever reason that might be, you can actually submit your offer through to the vendor's solicitor. And these details are on the front page of every single contract. So if and listen, I actually had a lovely client contacted me this morning about something totally separate. But she had called me up a number of years ago and had wanted to buy a property. And she said, I don't understand what's going on. The agent's telling me that we're about to exchange. I'm like, hang on a sec, the property's still on the market until it's exchanged. So that was exactly my advice to them. I said, go and put your offer through to the vendor's solicitor. That's a good segue. The agent doesn't love it. But if you have genuine interest in the property and you are concerned that you are being ghosted by your real estate agent, that is a really, really good solution for you.
Yeah. And I think a reason why communication breaks down towards the end of an exchange taking place is because the agent is very nervous then to reintroduce any new buyer. There's obviously been a verbal commitment from the owner to the buyer that they've passed on, and so the term gazumping is exactly that, having another offer come in once your offer's been accepted. So agents, I think, get nervous around that. But honestly, just the transparency to say to a buyer, an exchange is taking place, the property's on the market until it's exchanged, and pre-framing that with a buyer as well is the best work around that, because you can't control fate. Whatever's going to happen will happen, but you can certainly set people up and give them just the heads up. Like, that goes a long way.
I agree. And, sometimes things happen really quickly. So, we've had this happen a couple of times actually in the last 7 days where things have transpired very quickly. A buyer was in a very powerful position to put a strong offer, strong terms. They've come with their contract, a signed contract and a Section 66W, which waivers the call-off period. And they've popped their deposit into our trust account and they are ready they're ready to move immediately, as opposed to another buyer who said, look, I'm going to need a 6-month settlement. I've only just got my pre-approvals. We're going to need a whole lot of changes to the contract. The settlement terms are not ideal for the vendor. Of course, we're always presenting everything to our vendors. At the end of the day, it's on their instruction. But, sometimes things will transpire very, very quickly. At the very least, we actually do something really great in our office, and I love it, and the community and the buyers love it as well. It's called a rattle SMS. Do you want to just chat about that for a sec?
Yeah, I think you mentioned it just before. It's an SMS that goes out to all attendees that basically says in a short sentence, the owners are considering an offer. If you have any interest, please contact as soon as possible to discuss further. And the reason we do that is just because it then makes sure everyone's got the same message. There's no excuse for the agent to say, I tried calling you, you didn't answer. You might not have left a voicemail, might not even sent a text to say they called you. So if you do that as an extra layer, you just make sure you're really covering yourself from the agent's perspective, and also just giving that one last update. And it's on the benefit of the owners as well. The
That's
owner
right.
wants to those stones being left unturned.
That's exactly right. Always acting in the best interest of our vendors. So the silent agent syndrome, let's just, before we wrap up, Billy, can we just talk about time frames? And I'm going to test you on this. The expectation from a buyer, from an agent, to respond to a phone call. What do you reckon?
Phone calls my voicemail says within the hour. So sometimes I'll be in an appointment for an hour. I'll get you back after that, but it's very quick.
Okay, I reckon let me reframe that. I reckon there's agents in the industry that either never call back, a missed call, or they're calling back maybe after 24 hours. Email inquiries, expectation.
Our expectations, 10 minutes. You'll either hear from me or the team within 10 minutes. Industry standard, look, I've seen these go left over weekends, seen them left over public holidays, and sometimes never responded to.
Or there's an autoresponder, which I guess is just better than nothing at all. Yeah. What else?
Yeah.
What else?
What I will say is sometimes there is no update, but that is actually sometimes the best update. So just to again keep communication open. It's no problem just texting or an email saying no update yet. Keep you posted. No update means no trust, and no trust means no deal. So that, again, both buyer and seller, and we do a lot of buyer work in our office. So we look after a huge amount of buyers, almost acting like their little buyer's agent, keeping them in mind. So if you basically have a bad interaction at one point, you can make sure that you will guarantee that kills your future business in this bad practice.
I couldn't agree more. Like, that communication, that open communication is absolutely key. I think a lot of buyers see, maybe at times there's a property that's been sitting online for some time, but often there's a really, really long story that goes along with that. Don't assume just because a property has been sitting out there on the real estate portals for a significant amount of time that something is wrong with the property or there is not a deal happening in the background. Do not assume that, guys. That open communication is absolutely key. If you call agents and ask them what is going on with that property, we will tell you. We will give you the background story on exactly what's taking place there. Sometimes it is just as simple as, a vendor is not in a hurry to sell the property. They're just waiting for the right offer to come along. There's a million different things that can take place. So, but often there is a story that goes with every single one of these listings, but that communication is absolutely key. Most agents out there, as I said, are doing a wonderful job. It is relentless. I mentioned it last night. No one's crying for the real estate agent, but the hours are long. We do get a lot of calls, emails and WhatsApps coming through in a day. And, most of us are out there just doing the very, very best that we can. But there you go. Hopefully this has helped some of you guys out there.
Yeah, good show. There you go.
Thanks, Billy. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. See you later.
See ya.